Hi, this is Holly with Biz Building Moms. I want to start by saying I'm not sponsored by or affiliated with Google in any way, but I want to walk you through today just how to use the basics of free Google Sheets to track some of your business expenses or your business statistics. It's a free tool online with Google and it has a whole bunch of functionality, so it's a really helpful thing to use if you don't have any experience or know how to use it. So to start with, we're just going to open a web browser, and in your URL bar, just type in google.com/sheets. And it's going to take you to this login screen where you can choose an account. If you have any kind of Gmail or existing Google account, it will show up here. So you can see I already have an account. I'm just going to click on that to take us through. If you don't have an account, it will prompt you here to create account, or click on use another account and you will be able to create an account, and it will walk you through the steps. It's very easy to follow the prompts to do that. So I'm going to click on our Biz Building Moms account to get us in here, put in my password, and this is the home screen for your Google Sheets. So you will see I have a 2019 income expenses sheet here. If you have any existing sheets that you've worked on in the past, they will show up down here in a list. And then up at the top here, you can see there are several different templates that you can utilize as well if you want to. For today's purposes, we're just going to choose a blank sheet. So click on that. It's going to open a whole new sheet for us here. What I'm going to do to walk you through some of the basics of how to use this is basically just build the income and expense spreadsheet that I use for my blogging tracking. So I'm going to build that from scratch for you here. It's not a complex spreadsheet, but I use it to track all of my income each month and all of my expenses so that I have all the information I need when tax time rolls around. It also helps me just to know how much profit I'm making each month, where I can cut expenses, which expenses are worth it, just a lot of insight into the financial status of my business. So to start our spreadsheet, I'm just going to show you some of the real basics here quick, but basically if you click in any cell and you start typing, you'll see it pop up and you can just hit enter and that value will be entered into that cell. You can do that with letters, numbers, whatever you want to put in it. And you can do anything with formatting cells as well. Just click on the cell and you'll see up here in the white menu, here's your text color, here's your fill color for the cell, so if I want to make it yellow, I can do that. Here's your bold or italicized for your text, and you can also change your text alignment by clicking on this icon. And then my favorite for text formatting, etc., in the menu up here is this little paint format button. What you can do is select a cell, click on that, select another cell, and it will copy the exact formatting from your first cell into your second cell. So that can be a really helpful tool if you're trying to replicate the same format over multiple cells. You don't have to individually select it for each one. So I'm going to undo all that so we can start from scratch here. And I'm going to start my expense tracking spreadsheet just by adding the months of the year in a row across the top. So I'm going to start with Jan, hit tab to go over and add Feb, March, and so on, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, forgot December. Now I do like to format this a little bit just to keep it easy for my eyes to follow on what I want to, so it doesn't just look like a whole bunch of text that's all the same. So I'm going to make them a little bit skinnier since I'm only going to be putting currency numbers in there. And I am going to make this bold. I'm going to center it up here. And then I am also going to add a light gray fill color. I'll go with this one. It's a little bit darker, that's alright. And I'm going to add a full border. This little box right here adds borders to your cells. So I'm going to add a full border around that. Now here I'll show you the format painter. So I want all my months to look the same. And I want all my columns to be the same width. So I'm going to highlight the whole column here, click my paint format button, and drag it across from February to December. So just like that, all of my months now look the same and all of my columns are the same width. It's a super handy tool up here. It's called the paint format. I'm going to drag my column A a little bit wider so I can type things in there. And then over here is where you want to type in your income sources. So I'm just going to write income source on all of these and drag it down about 10 cells. That's close to what my blog sheet looks like. Use Command C here and drag that down, Command V to paste it. But what you want to do for each of these is type in individually each of your sources of income. This is assuming they are consistent sources. So if you're selling products, maybe one of them is product sales. You know, for me, one of these is advertising income, and another is an affiliate income, and a different affiliate income source. So I'm listing out every single source that I might receive income in a given month so that I can easily reference back to it. Once I have all my income sources listed here, I want to create a line down here for my totals, just again to make it easy for my eyes. So I'm going to click on this cell, the next row down from the bottom of my income sources, and drag all the way across to December. I'm going to come up here to my border formatting. I'm going to select the one with just the top line. This creates a line. That's all it does. It's not calculating anything. It's just a formatting thing. But now I can easily put my subtotals for each month below this line and have a clear place to look for them. So what you want to do after you have your income sources in here and your months up here is just go through and type in how much you made from that income source per month. So for today's exercise, I'm just going to, and I'm sorry, let me backtrack. So once you type one in, it's not going to automatically go to currency. So you want to go up here, so let's just say I made $100 in January from this income source. I'm going to type in 100, go up here to the $sign, and format it as currency. And then I'm going to do format painting again. So I'm going to click on that, select paint format, and I'm going to drag over this entire area and release. This should all now format as currency when I put in numbers. So let's put in another 100 for February. And you'll see that shows up as currency now. So for the sake of time here, I'm just going to copy and paste. Let's assume that we made $100 a month on both of these income sources from January to August. And then let's assume we made $50 a month from January to August on all of these other ones. And I'm just doing a Command C, Command V, but you're going to want to type in individually what you made from each income source to populate this. Okay, now we're ready to put in our subtotals down here. So we can do this with a very basic function. All you need to do is click on the cell there below January, type equals, and then a parenthesis. Oh, I'm sorry, equals, and then write the word sum, and parenthesis. Now you can click and drag all the values in this column. So you'll see it selected B2 to B10 there, my whole contents of January, and click an end parentheses, and then hit enter. So right there it totaled. Now it's totaling everything. If you double click, you can have it highlighted again. It's totaling everything in my January column. So I'm going to hit return. And now I'm going to copy and paste this formula across. So I'm going to hit Command C. I'm going to drag it all the way across to December. I'm going to hit Command V. So there you'll see it's subtotaling, and it automatically moves it to the next column when you copy and paste like that. So it is correctly totaling all my months here. You can tell that because it says 0 down here where there's 0. And then I'm just going to, again, just a formatting thing, I'm going to highlight all of these. I'm going to make them bold just so that my eye goes there. So this is the income portion, tracking portion of my spreadsheet. That's all it is. So now I am actually, for the ease of everything here, I'm just going to copy and paste this for my expense portion. So I'm going to copy everything below the months here, Command C, and I'm going to skip one row. I'm going to paste it for my expense portion. And so I'm going to clear out, just highlight them all and click delete. It will clear out the values there. Then over here, you're going to want to replace each of these with your expense items each month. So for the purpose of this exercise, I'm just going to copy the word expense down here. But you're going to want to type in exactly where each expense is generated from each month. So for me with my blog, some of this is my blog hosting, my graphic design programs, things like that I have a recurring monthly expense for. So now, because we copy and pasted, all of our subtotal formulas are already here, and all of our values here are already going to format for us as currency. So all you have to do is type in, let's just type in $10 for example, what your amounts are for each expense each month. And again, I'm going to do a bunch of copy and paste here just for the ease of things. Let's just copy this down, let's say 3 rows or so. And then let's make some of these 15, just so we have some variation. Copy that down. And then down at the bottom here, let's just put some non-uniform ones so you can see that each row is calculating differently. And on my spreadsheet, I'll actually show you, I have this one labeled as an other or a miscellaneous with an asterisk. And that's where I list any expenses that are non-regular for me each month. And then I list them out separately below, which I will show you. But it just kind of gives me a bucket to throw all of my irregular expenses into, since I don't have a whole lot that aren't just consistent regular monthly expenses. So here you can see my formulas down here because we copy and pasted, they are already calculating. And we can double click to make sure that it's gathering everything, but it looks good there. And so now you have all of your expenses listed. And one other formatting thing, again, this just helps my eye. I'm going to highlight this whole area and just make it a really light gray, so it's kind of set it apart from all the other text. Same thing down here. You can go to the fill color paint bucket up here and select any color to do that. All right, next I want to see what I actually netted each month. I want to see what my profit was after you subtract my expenses from my income. That's important for me from a business perspective, just to know how much I'm generating. So I'm going to type this cell here, grand total, and I like to format that in a really bold, I like to fill that with black up here and make it white text. Oops. White text and bold. And I'm going to center it. You can change alignment by clicking on these lines right here. So grand total, and then I'm going to click and drag. I'm going to format these as well before I calculate. So I'm going to highlight all of those. I'm going to click on all borders for them, and I'm going to make them a yellow because this is the most important thing that I want to see every month. All right, now this formula gets a little bit more complex. And here I'm going to use an if formula just because I don't want it to calculate months that I haven't gotten to yet. So basically, if there is 0 in my income, I don't want it, let me backtrack there. Yes, if it's 0 in my income, that means I haven't hit that month yet. And I don't want it to calculate in my grand total because I won't be able to have an accurate year-to-date measurement then. So this formula is a little bit more complex. We're going to click on the yellow cell now under January next to grand total. We're going to click on equals, and we're going to type if with the parentheses, and we're going to click up here, click on your subtotal for your income for the month. We're going to select if it is less than 0, then, so this is how an if function works. It's basically saying if this, then this. So if that is less than 0, if that is true, then we want to just return, I'm going to put parentheses, minus sign, parentheses. That's all we want it to say if that is true. If that is not true, then we want it to return the amount of your income total. So click on that, minus your expense total. So then click on that. And then you're going to type an end parentheses and hit enter. So what this should do then, and we're going to test it by copy and pasting it across. It should return just a minus sign in all these boxes down here for September through December for the months where we had 0 income. So we're going to click on it, Command C or Control C, drag across here, Command V. Whoop, and something is not going right here. If J11 is less than 0. Okay, something's not right, so we're going to backtrack. Let's go back to this one. We're going to type in if parentheses, and let's just do the calculation here. So we're going to do if your income less your expenses. If the quantity of that is less than 0, then we want to just return a minus sign, comma. If it's greater than 0, then we want that calculation. So you're going to click it and subtract the expenses and hit end parentheses. Now we need to add an extra parentheses at the beginning here because of how we did that, and hit enter. So let's copy this across again. There we go, now it's working. Okay, so let me show you that one more time just to make sure we have that formula down. So you're going to hit equals, you're going to type if, and you're going to put 2 parentheses. Then you want to click on your January income, hit the minus sign, click on your January expenses, click parenthesis, the less than sign, and 0. Type a comma, and then parenthesis, minus sign, I'm sorry, quotation mark, minus sign, quotation mark, another comma, and then you're going to click on your January income again, and a minus sign, and your January expenses, and then an end parenthesis, and hit enter. Let's test it again, just copy that across, make sure. There we go, now it's working. So you'll see over here in the month September through December, it's just returning a minus sign. So if we do a year-to-date sum of all of this, it's not going to include any quantity for the months we haven't reached yet. And that's important to me because I like to watch where I'm at for the year. And if I had it calculating a negative amount here because I have my expenses listed out without income, it's going to mess up what I'm looking at. So again, just a formatting thing, I like to make this all bold. So I'm going to highlight, hit the B up here. So there you go, you can easily see now how much profit you made each month with your expenses out, just by looking at the totals in this yellow bar. And if you change anything up in your income numbers or your expense numbers here, all of these formulas we put in will automatically update. So let's say we change this to $34 this month. You'll see down here it automatically changed to $421. So if you need to update any of the small details at any point, your totals should automatically update. Alright, almost through the basics here. I just want to show you how I put in my year-to-date calculation now. So I'm going to click down here. Actually, I'm going to click on this one and do the format pane again. Click Paint Format and hit this cell. And I'm going to type in YTD for year-to-date. And then I'm going to do a basic sum function in this cell right next to my year-to-date. So I'm going to click there and hit equals, type sum and a parenthesis sign, click and drag over your whole yellow bar here, hit an end parenthesis and hit enter. So this 3,529, based on the figures we just threw in here, is how much we've made so far this month. That's calculating our year-to-date income. So again, just some formatting things. I like to add a border to that. I like to make it bold, and I like to make it another color that's going to stand out, like a bright green. So here I can easily log in at any point, update any small details, or add in any income for any month that I'm hitting, and easily see an updated year-to-date and my monthly totals. Now, if you don't have any miscellaneous expenses, you can tune out at this point, but I just want to show you how I list out my miscellaneous expenses down here. So I'm going to just come down here and skip a few rows. Oops, if it'll let me scroll here. There we go. And I'm just going to type each month out again here to give you an example of how I list these out. Let's just put 2 lines for May. Let's say I have 2 things that month. So here's all my months, and I'm going to right align these using this line icon up here, hit the right align, and then I'm going to highlight this whole area, and I'm going to put a border on either side of it. So I'm going to come up here to my borders box. I'm going to select the left side and the right side. So you'll see that just frames it on either side. And I'm going to highlight everything in here, and I'm going to format it as currency as well. So I'm going to click and drag here, come up and hit this dollar sign again. Then on the right side here, actually let's backtrack, let's put in, so say January let's say I paid $5 to get something printed for my business. So I'm going to type $5 here, that was not a regular expense for me. And then here, right next to it, I'm going to write my description. So, flyer printed. And let's say February, I spent $3 buying pens that my business needed. So I'm going to put in $3, and right here, write pen purchase. And then if I have a month with multiple things like May down here, I just have a row in, and if you want to lay it out all ahead, you can insert a row at any time. So let's say I ended up with 2 things for April, so I'm going to highlight the April row, and then right-click your mouse, and you can insert one below, and that's going to insert a second row for April for me. So you can do that, and you can easily delete rows the same way. So click on them, right-click, and you can delete row. So I do not do any subtotaling or anything with this amount down here. This is just for my tracking purposes. So everything that I type down here, I then put up here under the other expense portion of my sheet. So this is just, the bottom here is just a breakdown for me if I need to look back at exactly what I spent on any of these miscellaneous expenses. So that in a nutshell is it. That's how I format my basic income and expense tracking spreadsheet for my blog. It doesn't have to be complex for something like a blog. Depending what your business is, you might have some more complexities. But I hope that just observing this functionality of Google Sheets was helpful for you to get started with tracking some of your own business expenses.